Good morning and welcome to the Jersey Magazine here at 105.5 WDHA. I'm your host, Jim Monahan. As you're probably aware, WDHA this summer has been running a Discover Downtown series. For the month of June, we focused on Morristown. In July, it was Madison and Chatham. And now for this month of August, Discover Downtown centers on Denville, which is also known as the hub of Morris County. And with us this morning is the mayor of Denville, Thomas Andes. Thomas, good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much for having me today.
And, I was just in Denville a week ago Friday with my co-host from WDHA's Morning, Joel John. We were hanging out with a couple of DHA listeners at the block party. That was wonderful. How long have you been doing those?
Well, years ago, we used to have a Chamber of Commerce block party, but about 5 years ago, we started a downtown business improvement district. Then last year with COVID, when it hit us, we had to come up with some ideas on how to get business into downtown, and we came up with the idea of with a collaborative effort with the business improvement district. We came up with the idea of Denville After Dark, and so we did it maybe three times last year, and we're doing 3 times this year.
Friday night was absolutely wonderful. You had a great live band. The weather could not have been nicer. And I mean, it was just a wonderful vibe in the center of Denville on Friday night. So congratulations for a terrific event.
It's co-sponsored, but Downtown Denville deserves a lot of the credit. They do the yeoman's work, and we help them with the police and the fire department being there, and the CERT team, and make sure everybody's safe. And it's a real good time for everybody. And we hope that brings business people into town that haven't been to Denville before, see what a great town it is, and it brings people into our shops and restaurants.
You mentioned, of course, the pandemic. How hard was Denville hit at its peak?
Well, it's about as hard as every other downtown. I mean, we've lost quite a few businesses, but slowly but surely they're coming back. I've done several ribbon cuttings, and I see a few more stores are being filled in. Thankfully, our community really rallied around our downtown. We had a program called Denville Strong, and it was developed by itself. Some people in the community came to me and said we wanted to do this. They raised money. They bought food from the area restaurants and gave the meals to the first responders. They brought it to the hospital for the nurses and the people in the emergency room and the floor nurses, and they brought it to the police department, the fire department, the DPW. They brought it to the different first responders from different restaurants over the period of time. They also they raised over $60,000, and they ended up towards the end giving the balance of the money to the downtown Denville, and they, in return, had a grant program to help the businesses. So that's one thing. That's remarkable thing about Denville is that they know how to stick together, and it was a very creative idea that they came up with.
What's been the biggest obstacle that you as mayor have faced through the course of the pandemic, Tom, in Denville?
Well, probably just keeping everybody together. Everybody has their own thoughts how it should be done, and they vary from the very liberal to the very conservative ideas on it. I just kind of remind everybody that we need to be patient and considerate of other people's feelings, and we'll all get through this together. Then when the vaccines came, making sure that how people could get the vaccines, and making sure our seniors were going to be able to get the vaccines, and then working with the business improvement district downtown Denville, and how we could get the restaurants as much seating capacity as they possibly could. And I don't know if you saw the parklets that we had out in front of a couple of the restaurants, where we took parking spaces and let them expand their restaurants into the street.
Yeah. Now, is that something that you think you'd be able to keep after things get to back, quote unquote, normal? Because that outdoor dining is wonderful. We have it in my own town here in Madison, and it's just, especially on a nice summer night.
it gets tough because we're losing parking spaces. It wasn't bad when we didn't have anybody shopping downtown, so we could give them the parking spaces. But as the town gets back to the shopping gets back to normal, the retail is going to say, well, we want those parking spaces back. But I don't know if you noticed on First Avenue, we did something that was creative. Around the parking lot, we put picnic tables, and
Yes.
and that was just a brainstorming idea that we came up with, and we put portable picnic tables there, and they worked. And then we went out and bought the more substantial ones that were green that matched our decor downtown, and we even put short ones on the Diamond Spring Road side where the sidewalks narrower, and the people love them, and they take out and they go sit on a picnic table on the sidewalk, and they're used it all day long. In the morning, you see people there at lunchtime, and then in the evening. And some of the restaurants are kind enough to make sure that they're kept clean. So it works out really well.
And one of the nice things about Denville, while you're outside at one of those picnic tables, especially around the Main Street area, the music that's piped in, that is a great idea.
Yes.
I don't know who came up with that, Tom, but that's wonderful.
Yeah, we always had trumpets, speakers on one side of the street that just blasted the music on Broadway. And the fellow's name was Bob Ott, and he formerly worked for Sony. He was vice president, and God bless him, what a great volunteer. He was in charge of the big scoreboards at the at the stadiums. That was his expertise. And when we were doing this, we got grants for the street lights, the streetscapes. We put $1.5 million into our downtown since Hurricane Irene. It was 10 years ago this August. And he said to me, "Would you like to do like they do down at Disney World? Make it so that it's the same level all the way across?" And I said, "Yeah, it sounds like it might be nice, Bob." And he explained to me how we could do it. And he went out and did all the research as a volunteer. And and he designed it for us. And he was there when we were installing it. And we owe it all to him. And he recently moved to Chicago, and every once in a while I have to call him up, to ask him for his help. But we were very, very fortunate to have that type of volunteer in Denville that they lend their expertise. And I think it'd be hard pressed to find another town that has it.
I can't think of one.
No, nor can I. And the volume's pretty low, and so it doesn't disturb businesses. We had to tweak it a little bit originally, but it's worked out really well. People like it, and even the clock tower, when the bells ring, all right, it pipes it through it. So and we can control what music is played on it, and so at the holiday time we have holiday music, and it works out well.
Denville's our featured town here this month of August in Discover Downtown here at 105.5 WDHA. And our guest this morning on the Jersey Magazine is Tom Andes, the mayor of Denville. You've been a Denville resident almost 40 years now, Tom. What is it about Denville that made it so special to you, that appealed to you as somebody moving into town?
Well, I didn't know any better when I moved here, to tell you the truth. I just bought a house. But at the closing, I happened to buy the house from a councilman. He was a councilor 18 years, and he said to me at the closing, "Now you're going to have to volunteer in Denville at the Harvest Festival." And I said, "Sure, I'll volunteer." I was only a kid; I was like 25 years old, and I said, and I did, and one day, years later, after being a Cub Scout leader and a Little League coach, the mayor called me up one day, and I knew him. Our wives were class moms together, his youngest and my oldest. And he asked me to be on the recreation committee. We built the playground. I was the chairman of it, and the Gardner Field playground. And I saw the goodness in the people in Denville. And we raised $150,000 for the playground that we built in 1996, and we raised the money in 1 year. And it was hardly anything that we needed that we couldn't get. And we raised actually more money than we needed by like $30,000.
Wow.
And the following years, 2 years, the neighborhoods in the school asked me to help them build a playground. And the more I gave, the more I wanted to give. And it's just it's such a great town. I mean, it's easy to fall in love with this town. I'm very fortunate that I have 5 children. My 2 daughters picked Denville to raise their family in. 5 of my 9 grandkids live in Denville, and even my mom, after living 50 years in Lyndhurst, she moved to Denville 6 years ago, and so I have 4 generations living in town. So we're completely vested in this community of my family, and I'm hoping to get a couple of my boys to live in Denville too. I still have one at home, and one's getting married, so it could happen. But Denville's a wonderful town.
You mentioned Gardner Field. I've actually had the opportunity to coach there a number of times in baseball over the years. It's one of the nicest facilities in the area. And I'm not just saying that because we're talking this morning, Tom. It's a beautiful facility. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the Joey Bella Memorial Fund. I know that's big in town. Tell our listeners how that fund came about.
Geez, it must be about, it's closing on 30 years now. A family in town, their young child, maybe 3 or 4 years old, Joey Bella, had some form of blood cancer, and there was all the money was going to his care. They were taking him all over the country. They were on the verge of losing their home. They went to the parish priest over at St. Mary's, Monsignor Murray. He wrote them a check out of the church funds so they wouldn't lose their home. He got all the priests, clergy together in the community. They had special collections the next weekend. He gave a sermon that brings tears to my eyes. Because, only by the grace of God goes I,
Mm-hmm.
He brought all the organizations and towns together, and they started the Joy Bella Fund, and they made sure the family never lost their house. They pay bills. They don't give money away. They pay bills for that. And the whole program is for families with devastating illnesses that affect children. Now, it could be an adult, but that's sick, but the children's not getting the things they need. But most of the time, it's children. And Joey didn't make it. He was the same age as my daughter. I think they went to Sunday school, same Sunday school grade together. But I mean, he only made it to like 6 years old or 7 years old, poor boy. The Bellas kept the fund going, and these 30 years, 100% of the funds that are raised go to the families that are in need. They're all volunteers. No rent, no salaries, and they just pay bills. And every year, July 2nd, they have a tricky trade. July 3rd, they have a beefsteak dinner. Used to be lip sync. They changed it to beer, band, and the beefsteak. The last, I guess, the last 8 or 10 years, and then they've had we had a triathlon for the 100th anniversary of Denville in 2013. And since then, except for last year and this year with the COVID, all the funds, most of the funds from the triathlon go to Joey Bella, because it's really an extension of Denville Social Services. We have food pantry, and we have a fund for oil and heat for people that need it, and school drives for supplies and stuff like that. But really, when you think of it, this is an extension of our social services for the families that need it the most. And so the people of Denville have been so supportive of it for now all these decades, and it's just a wonderful event. Now, last year they canceled it because of COVID, and this year they pushed it back from the 4th of July weekend to September
10th.
10th.
Yes.
Is the beer, beefsteak, and band. No, excuse me.
And the Tricky Tray, I believe, is on the 11th.
On the 11th, and they did that because they didn't want to have a party on September 11th. And then we usually would have the fireworks on the 4th of July, so I had to make the decision about the fireworks. So we moved the fireworks to the 12th. So we're having the same 4th of July weekend in September to make it our Joey Bella 4th of July weekend.
You mentioned the lip syncing, and it says on your bio on the Denville website that you were a lip sync performer. What song did you do, Tom?
Well, every year we did a whole bunch of them, and I'm not a very good dancer or lip syncer, so I took minor roles, but I was the guy who held the umbrella for Michael Jackson. I was an old Elvis, and we did a spoof on Celebrity Survivor, and I got to be the old Elvis on that one, and we did a whole bunch of different ones over the years, and we made fools out of ourselves. And politicians should never put on a funny hat, right? And I did that long before I was ever thought about being a politician, and because I never thought I was going to be one, and I did it because it's for the goodness of the purity of what it is. It's these families need help, and it's such a beautiful thing.
And by the way, for DHA listeners who are interested, the website for the Joey Bella Memorial Fund is joeybella.org. Some of my favorite restaurants in Morris County, Tom, are right there in downtown Denville. I'm a big fan of Thatcher McGee's and a big fan of Denville Dairy going across the street there for ice cream. And again, Denville is our featured town this month of August on WDHA's Discover Downtown. Tom Andes, longtime mayor of Denville, thank you very much for joining us here this morning on WDHA's Jersey Magazine.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for promoting Denver.